25-30% between last quarter and now. And the other, that there is some green kind of shoots coming in by the commentary of some of the companies. So we'll take it forward with Abneesh Roy, who's joining us now to talk more about the FMCG space. Abneesh, I remember talking to you last quarter as well, when the first time after several quarters, some of these companies started giving out a relatively better kind of commentary on outlook. This time when HUL, commentary also after the 4% kind of volume growth came in, you must have already started, recommending your clients last quarter onwards to get into some of these names. This trade is now getting, strengthened. What are your thoughts now? Is it okay to get into some of these names now as well?
Yes, we think the sector will continue to do well. There can be minor profit booking given HUL stock is up some 25% in the last 4 months. It was yesterday at 52-week high. But we do see next 4-5 years being good for the sector because of 3-4 reasons. One, of course, this government is a coalition government, and next 5 years visibility on rural stimulus programs and tax cuts for the salaried class is there. And yesterday also, for example, we did see 2.66 lakh crores rural development, 1.5 lakh crore for agri, and there is a tax cut for the lower end in terms of the new tax regime, so 17,500 higher tax. So these are definitely something which is going to continue, and everything doesn't happen in union budget. For example, NREGS outlay, for example, is something which is on tap. So even if the budget doesn't increase too much, that's based on the demand. And last 2 years, we have seen that the actual spends in NREGS are much higher than the initial budgets. Second, of course, is MSP hikes happened few weeks back. That was on the higher side versus the last 4-5 years average. And a lot of the states also are doing a lot of stimulus programs. For example, Maharashtra is going to elections, and you must have seen the huge announcements being done for the women, for the youth, for the lower end of the rural and urban. Same thing is happening in Haryana, Jharkhand. It happened even in Karnataka, for example. So you have to see union plus the state, both are doing. Second is definitely we see pricing coming back for sector. So actually, for example, in Q1 also, there was a 2% negative pricing. We see that worst is behind in terms of pricing for the sector and for HUL. And in second half, we do see HUL just taking the price hikes, and after that the next 1 year we will see around 3% price hike coming back for HUL and for most of the other players also because of very high inflation initially 2 years back, and then equally sharp deflation. It was very tough time for the number one player, because then what happens, local players do come back. The good part is that has also now ended in Q1. So local players, we see losing market share back to the market leaders in each category. For example, HUL is currently leading in 55% of the portfolio. In good times, it leads around 70-75% of the portfolio. It is gaining market share. We see that coming back. In soap, for example, very good disruption. So in palm oil, they have reduced 25% palm oil in Lux and Lifebuoy. And similarly in tea and other parts of the portfolio also, we see HUL winning back market share. So we are positive on the sector. We are also positive on HUL. Yes.
HUL positive on sector. But Abneesh, are you then suggesting and recommending your clients to buy this dip? And if yes, which are the top recommendations from the entire universe of stocks that you track closely?
Yes, so we are definitely recommending investors to buy on dips, and we are positive on HUL. We have a target price of 3375. We are positive, in fact, on almost the entire consumption space. And last 2-3 months, if you see, entire consumption space has rallied. It is not that only one company will gain when the rural recovery happens, or even one company will gain because the pricing will come back. The entire sector sees that benefit. Yes, from a valuation perspective, HUL still there is a comfort. Even in ITC, there is a comfort. In Asian Paints, there is a lot of comfort. And if you see, they have taken one more round of price hike yesterday, but that was in the balanced part of the portfolio. It was not a second hike in same part of the portfolio. We expect that Asian Paints will see more hike in the coming weeks, because that is the pricing power, and they want to have margins in a more comfortable band of margins. So yes, we are positive on these three names. From a growth perspective, we remain remain positive on Nestle, we remain positive on Dabur, we remain positive on most other names also. But generally, in terms of comfort, it's higher in HUL, ITC, and Asian Paints currently.
Before I let you go, just a quick word on United Spirits. I mean, the numbers have been decent. How was the call? And more so, their strategy, which they had given out a few years back, appears to now coming, to fruition. Do you see this momentum to continue? What's your long-term target there?
Yes, we are positive on the space and we are positive on the United Spirits, mostly from a longer term perspective. Valuation comfort is a bit low there. Yes, Q1 results, the expectations were quite muted, given the impact of elections in terms of dry days and lesser excise officers available in terms of the production. In spite of that, the 5% volume growth in the P&A and 10% sales growth in the P&A, I think that's a decent improvement. The bigger surprise was on the margin. So clearly gross margin was as per expectation, but they really managed the EBITDA margin and cost control in terms of other cost and the employee cost quite well, which I think is a good achievement. And they also did 2 acquisitions yesterday. So B9 Beverages and the India Brews and Spirits. So that's in the craft spirits and that's also in the zero alcohol, those 2 companies. So I would say that this company is doing the right things, closing the white spaces and also focusing on the premiumization quite decently. One more trigger for the stock will be essentially what happens in Andhra Pradesh. We expect a new liquor policy very soon because the government had put out in manifesto lowering the liquor taxes and improving quality. And another trigger for United Spirits will be essentially what happens on the UK FTA. Of course, UK FTA has been happening for the last 2-3 years, so difficult to put a timeline. But the only issue here is the United Spirits valuations is not cheap. So any investor has to take a 1 to 2 years call rather than a very short momentum. But yes, results were on the positive side.
Positive side, but valuations are perky and punchy. Last question, Abneesh, quickly. Do you think Wolverine versus Deadpool is likely to change the fate of PVR? There were no major hits last quarter, very weak numbers. Likely to change or more of the same?
So yes, in PVR, the content pipeline is looking strong, but caveat here is content has to be good. Yes, last 3-4 months because of elections, very strong heat wave, and because the content library, lot of gaps were there. Many weeks there was no content. Those things are getting resolved, but yes, quality of content is important and marketing of the movie is also equally important. We have seen many movies, for example, Sarfira, there was hardly any marketing. So that's also important that most of the budget of the movie is going towards the hero of the movie and then the movie doesn't do well. I think the course correction in the P&L of each movie is also equally important. Focus on content, focus on VFX and focus on marketing. If the star takes away all the money, then where is the money left? So yeah, those are the structural issues which need to be resolved. But yes, we are positive on PVR, but I think pricing of the ticket is also equally important. Customer is very smart. He has a lot of options. So yes, the Deadpool should see very strong pricing because it's at a higher end. But overall, we do see that the footfall should start improving gradually if the quality of the content is good and marketing of the content is also strong.
We'll let you go on that one. Thanks so much. You do catch up with the movie and then we'll talk about it later on. All right, let's take a short break on that note. On the other side of the break, some more beneficiaries of the Union Budget 2000.